We're live. Hey, everybody.
Hey, aloha.
We just double tapped him. Another weekly marketing jam session. Let me spit my gum out real quick.
Yeah, pardon my sniffles. I've been a little under the weather.
How are you feeling today, Tom?
I feel much better today. I was pretty much useless yesterday and the day before. Hey, aloha, Andy. Aloha, Tom. Jamil. Omar. From Chicago, the Windy City. Welcome to the
we did a webinar yesterday. Tom was really deathly ill, and he sent me a picture of him in like a blanket, basically a Snuggie, a onesie. And
yeah, I'm sitting in this. Yeah, I was sitting in this office chair, like all bundled up, doing this webinar. I felt horrible.
He held through, though.
Yep. Powered through, because that's what we do when we're trying to get things done.
Yes, sir. Hey, we got Tom Jones.
I see Tim and Valerie, David. Welcome, everybody.
David, how's it going? Tom Jones. Awesome. Well, we have a nice little session lined up for everybody. We got some things that we wanted to talk about a little further down the line of the production, but some of the key, or the main topic, the main thing that we've been working on, both Tom and I, is an important topic because it's right around the corner, and it's about taxes, tax season.
Oh, tax season.
We were just on the phone for about an hour and a half with our CPA, who is a wonderfully smart woman. She is awesome. I mean, full of information. And thank God, right? Because that stuff to me is like, I can't handle it. It's beyond.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on.
But I'm glad somebody does, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to get into that a little bit, because I think, we have gone through a lot of trial and error, haven't we, Tom? The way that we've progressed within our individual agencies, our partnership business, Offline Sharks, right? Like, we've gone through a lot. I mean, we started at the bottom, right? Doing Excel spreadsheets for ourselves, and slowly walked our way up to the big leagues of, bookkeepers to wannabe bookkeepers, to wannabe CPAs, to CPAs, to enroll agents, to CPA client firms that screw you, to, we've done it all. So I think that, we do have some insight that we can share with everybody. It doesn't really matter what level they're at, too. I think, we can have a good little jam session discussion on that topic specifically after we get through some shout outs.
Yeah, well, I think it's something everybody needs to be aware of as you're starting and grow. Like, I feel like it's something you need to be taking action on from the beginning. And I think there's just different levels of how you do that, right? And I think that's where we can really help maybe shed some light.
Right. And we're gonna get into some shout outs, but quick question, for everybody on the call, what are you doing now in terms of your bookkeeping, your taxes in your agency? Do you have somebody helping you? You have an accountant, you have a CPA, you have an enroll agent. Are you doing everything in your own in QuickBooks? Do you have a Pages Excel sheet, or using just, Excel yourself? It's whatever you got. I'd like to know, and see what everybody is doing for that. Hopefully you're doing something. Hopefully you're doing something.
Well, man, when I first started my agency, like, I did not do that kind of stuff. And, I had to take care of it at some point, and it was a real pain in the rear to get it all straightened out. So, it's like, it is definitely something you want to be, especially when I first started, I was having people just write checks to me. Like, I didn't even have a company name. I didn't even have a DBA. Right. So, but I had to deal with it eventually, and you don't want to be in that position. So it's better to start doing some things now in the beginning than have to go through that.
Right. Absolutely. You definitely want to take the approach of being prepared rather than scared.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I'm just sharing this live really quick, see if we can get some more people on board here. So bear with me real quick, everybody.
I'll try to mute my mic if I have to cough.
Okay. I'm glad you're feeling better though. I needed support on this call.
Yeah. Well, at least I can do things. I mean, yesterday I couldn't even move off the couch.
Right. Okay, so let me get my screen shared here. Start here.
I love the GIFs.
I made that GIF.
Oh, you did that GIF?
Yeah, I
There's
did.
some other ones in there that I think are just hilarious. That's a good one too.
So Rick Garcia, we got a new Sandshark level 3, and just so everybody knows, there are so many people in the Shark Alliance that are sharing their badges, their success, their level ups. I can't get them all. There's no way I could get them all and put them on this live and give everybody shout outs. So make sure you do post your level ups in that group so I can get it. If you're at the top, I'm going to grab it and I'm going to put it and give you a shout out here. You can see Rick shot a video about how he got through that level, which is awesome. Some of the levels we ask that you guys do that so you can help some of the members below you and above you to know what helped you to progress through that level and get closer to reaching 6 figures, right? So big shout out to our newest Sandshark, Rick Garcia, level 3.
Way to go, Rick.
Way to go, Rick. And we also have a great testimonial from Judy Parsons, who says that she's been using our video training on SEO. Thanks a million. It's made a difference. And combined with what she's been doing with Google My Business, she's reached the pinnacle, no pun intended. Business is Pinnacle Bookkeeping. That's the name of her business. Of Google My Business SEO listings for her business. So
That's
she
awesome,
is
Judy.
listed number 1 for bookkeeping services, which is crazy, right?
That's great.
Wow. That's huge. Congratulations. I mean, as a fellow SEO person, maybe even the person that helped you at some point, that is a tremendous undertaking, and good job.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that's awesome.
That's huge. Keep us posted with that. Also, Zachary Smooths. I know a lot of you in our community know Zachary. You've seen him reaching out to people, constantly pushing the envelope in terms of client acquisition, following up with leads, outreach, prospecting. He's very vocal in our group, which is awesome because, not only do we get to learn about what he's doing to be successful, because look at this, he just signed his first app client, which is huge, but we're also sharing in any, obstacles or struggles that he faces while trying to pursue his dreams of, building a 6-figure agency. So, our community and our group is vitally important to us because, we really have a huge strength in our numbers. And if you are having success or you're not having success and you leverage the group, you talk about it, we have people that are, just look at this post. Look at the engagement from the people in our group that are stoked to see Zachary move forward. I know when I was getting started, I didn't have this kind of support. It was me and a chat room full of nerds that didn't like me. Right?
It is awesome to see how you can leverage the knowledge of all the people that are in that group, right? Because it's hard sometimes. You don't really know how to proceed and get different viewpoints, and just like you said, just to get that support and like some acknowledgement of what you're doing is working is really great.
Yeah. And it can sometimes be the difference of pushing on, right? Like sometimes when because I know for a fact, because I've spoken with Zach, several times he wanted to give up and he didn't know if this was going to work for him, and I know that I wasn't the only one that was like, hey man, keep your head up, keep pushing on. And, you know, I'm not sure if that's the reason he did or anything like that, but I know that it can help. You know what I mean? I know that it can help. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows if it makes all the difference in the world for scoring your next client. Let's see, what else do we got here? John Bergman says, what do you do when you find yourself swimming with the sharks? You keep swimming faster. Level 6 complete and moving forward with a different shark.
Way to go. That's awesome.
That
Oh, yeah. Now you're talking the kitty gifs.
Congratulations, John. And for those of you that don't know, you know, we have just real quick, this program, right, with all these different levels and badges, this is the training, our Shark Alliance and the Path to Six Figures training program. And this is our system that we've designed in our membership where we break down how to get to six figures every step of the way. And we've gamified every single stage. So level 1 to level 12, which is the Megalodon shark, you should have six figures when you get to the Megalodon shark. And we show you exactly how to do it. We hold you accountable. You post it in the group. You've got hundreds of other people that are in the group that are in the private Facebook group, the other community areas. You know, there's just tons of awesome stuff in there. Proprietary software that we haven't released anywhere else. Just a ton of stuff to give you a huge leg up in terms of building a six-figure agency. So I don't want to dabble too much on that, but that's what that is. I know a lot of people are always like, what the hell is a level 6 thresher shark? Where did that come from? How do I get there? And yeah, that's what it is. So let me shut that one down. Let's see what we got here. And Sober Hirsch, level 4 reef shark. So she's prospecting using the influencer site, and we'll be focusing on website builds. It's an easy step for me as I've built several websites previously. So Anne has, you know, she's just jumped from level 3 to level 4. And part of that requirement for that level is to build a prospecting hit list. So get your ideal customer in mind so you know who you're marketing to, right? If you're just randomly out there trying to like throw the net around and you're not sure who you should be marketing to, you're not sure of their specific pain points or psychology or pain points that you're trying to solve, it can be a much more of an uphill process, right, Tom? Than
Yeah.
getting a clear picture and then being able to market to that picture.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
So congratulations, Anne. I'm looking forward to seeing you take action in the next level, which is where we help you to prospect and get those calls and emails and leads coming in. Awesome.
I see Bones, who's on the line right now. He's just one client away from going up to Bull Shark. So that's awesome. Way to go, Bones.
Bones. It's good to see you, brother. Yeah, that is awesome. Always love to see Bones hanging out with us.
Yeah, Tim, I see your comment there too. I know, like, hearing no can be very frustrating, but man, you just got to power through.
And switch it up, right? If you're not hearing the response that you want, you know, maybe switch it up. Maybe switch up your delivery a little bit, or however you're prospecting or whatever you're telling your prospects or email. Like, I'm curious as to how you are reaching out and you're getting those no's, Tim. Maybe you can put that in the comments so we can help you address some of that or come up with a good idea to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, way to go, Jacqueline. Jacqueline's moving forward, contacting businesses. That's awesome.
Yeah, Jacqueline's been taking action. I've been seeing a lot of movement in the groups with Jacqueline. So see, look at that. Level 4, but she can't move on until she contacts 45 businesses. So you're almost there. And, you know, that is a tremendous start. And for those of you that don't know, those 45 businesses that you're contacting, they fit within the guidelines of your perfect prospect, right, Jacqueline? So those are 45 targeted contacts, not 45 just random, willy-nilly is the word. Tom likes outreach contacts. So much more targeted approach is the one that we like to follow.
Yeah, Nick and I were kind of talking about this before the call started. Like, you know, so many people out there in this kind of space of growing a digital agency, they focus on quantity, right? But like, if you look at just marketing in general, like if you're just going to practice good marketing strategy, right? It's not so much about quantity, and it's really about identifying a person that you can help that fits the type of client you want to work with, and then getting some information about that person so that you can customize your outreach to them, and then just continuing to reach out to those type of what you consider to be your perfect prospect or your ideal client, right? One of the things we've talked about in some of our training is putting together a profile, a perfect prospect profile. Try saying that 3 times fast, right? And then those are the types of clients you go after. And Nick and I both really, you know, we don't believe in just a blasting out of 1,000, you know, cookie cutter emails. Like, you want to take some time and really look at this client that you're getting ready to reach out to, you know, and try to personalize what you're sending to them. That will definitely increase your responses and things like that.
Yeah, it's not, I know there's a huge amount of people that are like, they get sold and they sell people on, you know, this barrage of thousands or millions of emails. But, you know, if you can set yourself apart, right? Like, for example, let's look at it like this. Let's say you're doing email outreach campaign, right? And you're doing cold email, and you just have a list, however you've gotten your list, doesn't matter. And the person that receives your email, they've never heard of you before. They have no idea who you are. They would never recognize your name. That's one way to land in somebody's inbox, right? Another way is you could do a little bit more work. You could find them on social media, right? You could find their business page on social media. You could look at some of their recent posts and you could respond in the comments to some of the recent posts. Maybe you could help them in some way. Maybe they've asked a question and you could help them answer that question or give feedback. And the reason you're doing that is so that when your name does appear in their email inbox, you're familiar. You're not just some random person, right? So, and you can even take that so many steps further, but that's just a starting place to set yourself apart.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. Well, I always like to think and remember too, it's like the difference between marketing and sales, right? Like, the approach a lot of people take is they're just blasting out these cookie cutter emails. They don't know they've done no research on the list they have, right? They don't even know if the people on the list are really a good fit or not. They're relying on the software to tell them that. And that is, I think, iffy at best, right? But, you know, with sales, right, you have a product and then you try to sell it to somebody, whether, you know, it's like kind of a brute force thing. Whereas marketing is where we identify a problem and then we build a product around that problem, something that fixes it, and then we bring that to market, right? So we've applied that to our prospecting techniques for our agencies. That's why we focus a lot on foot in the door strategies and different things like that, because we want to go out and identify a problem. Okay, here's a common problem that local businesses have. It's a pain point. Now we have a way to identify if they have that pain point. And then we want to show them that, hey, our service fixes that pain point, right? So we're following that model. That makes the selling a lot easier, and you don't really have to do a lot of selling because they're either interested in fixing that pain point or they're not, right?
Mm-hmm. It's true. Very true. Let's see here. Tim says that he's sending emails and he just had a no from a mortgage broker that he sent to a ton of buyers too. So, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that happens.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes people aren't going to buy. Like, there's some people you could be like, hey, I have $1 million. I'm going to give it to you. And they'd be like, oh, I don't know, I'm gonna have to pay taxes on that, and like, then what would I spend it on? Like, nah, I'd rather you just keep it.
Yeah, I heard a thing recently of somebody trying to give a car away, and they like actually couldn't give it away because no one would take it. They didn't believe it. It was too good to be true. And basically, the guy was like, "You've lost your chance. I'm not going to give you the car," because later people wanted to actually take him up on it when they figured out it was real. But Tim, so here's something, right? If you're just doing emails, have you considered doing that little trick where I just mentioned maybe reaching out on social media? Have you also ever considered like showing up in person to this place or calling them on the phone? I know that's not what everybody like loves or wants to do. It might not even be in your skill set, but there's a way that you might be able to, stack the deck in your favor a little bit. I'm not sure what products you're trying to sell this mortgage brokerage. Depending on what that is, there might be a way to make yourself positioned where you're not really trying to sell anything, and it's easy to start a discussion with them, right? But that being said, it sounds like if you're sending a ton of emails and you're not having any success, it might be time to variate your approach. So if you guys have more questions, keep putting them in the chat box below. I'm gonna talk a little bit about our main topic of discussion, which is are you thinking ahead about your taxes?
It's right around the corner.
I know I am. I know for me, it's like I'm always thinking about taxes, honestly. I feel like every year I'm trying to gather information about it, right? So I can prepare as best as I possibly can, right? Because I didn't learn business. I didn't come from a long line of entrepreneurs and business people that just handed me the keys to knowing how to set corporate structure up and be able to file my taxes for the, to avoid as much tax as possible, not pay my taxes, but avoid it, right? There's a big difference there. We both, Tom and I know how Tom feels about this. We want to pay our taxes, right? We pay our taxes. We drive on public roads. We live in a state where they do lots of stuff for us. We wish they'd do more, but who doesn't, right? So it's important to pay your taxes now. However, you can totally find yourself in a position where you're paying much more than you probably should be, just because you haven't gotten smart about it, or just because you haven't, met the right CPA or bookkeeper or person that has the information that you need for your specific tax situation or bracket, to help you to, just set yourself up to be in a better position when it comes around tax season. And that's what I mean about always thinking about taxes, is because it's ever changing, especially with a new president, a new government shift. It's hard to stay in front of it. It's almost like SEO, but probably even harder.
Yeah.
But I'll go ahead.
No, go ahead, Nick.
Well, I was just gonna say, well, I want to get your take on it, Tom, and then we'll talk about kind of where we started and where we're at now.
Well, there's a couple things, and I see your question there, and we will get to that one, because I do have an answer for you for that. I would just say a couple of things for you guys that are maybe you don't have clients, or you're just starting to get clients, or you're starting this business. Here's what I would really recommend that you kind of do. One is I think it's definitely worthwhile, just like we talk about, when we talk about bringing people onto our team, like that are going to do fulfillment for us, we talk about in some of our training about building that relationship with those people first, right? Even before we're able to hire them. I think you should be doing that as well with somebody who can give you good financial advice. So maybe look around in your area, ask around, find out, who's a good business CPA, who's somebody that has that information, and see if you can just schedule, a lot of those types of businesses, they'll do a sit down session with you just to see if they can help you, like a consultative kind of get to know you type deal.
Mhm.
And even though you may not be in a position to hire them right now, like you could probably get a lot of insight into what you need to do to get to that point to hire them. And you could be very upfront with them and say, hey, look, I don't think I'm at a point right now where I can hire you today, but I'm going to be at that point. And so I'm hoping maybe you can give me some insight as to what I need to do to be in a good position if I bring you on, right? The worst case scenario is I think at least every 6 months or maybe a year, I would invest some money to sit down with a CPA, even if they charged you. Like, what would you charge me for an hour to just take a look at what I've got going on, right? Because you just need some input, and it needs to be from somebody that's in your area, because you need somebody that's familiar with the laws in your state, not just the federal laws, so that you make sure you don't get into any trouble, right? And you could just tell them that, like, hey, I'm not in a position to hire somebody right now, but I don't mind paying for an hour of your time, so you could just make sure I'm setting things up the right way. Most of those types of companies don't charge for that type of stuff. But if they do, it'd probably be very minimal. So I would say at the minimum, you want to do that, right? You just want to seek out some professional advice to make sure you're doing things the right way. And then just make sure that you've set your agency up the right way, that like know at what point you're going to need to pay taxes on that income, have your bank account set up the right way. If it's a simple DBA or whatever you need to be legal to be doing business, because we don't want to be breaking the law, just get all that in line, and then just start, remembering that all the money that comes in, taxes are going to have to go out. So starting to set some money aside for those, I think, is a good real place to start.
Yeah. Hey, I got a good idea. Let's ask a tax question for an Amazon gift card. Put a "let's do it" in the comments if you want to win.
Oh,
at winning an Amazon gift card. If I see enough people that put "let's do it" in the comments, I've got a question. I'm going to type it out in our little banner thing here.
Pardon me, I had to blow my nose.
No worries.
Try to do it off camera. Hey, while they're putting in their thing, I'm going to answer Anne's question. So Anne was asking about the influencer site. If you can add a middle of the road option. Absolutely, Anne. So there's actually a video inside the agency growth machine members area that talks about the pricing page. But if you just go into the pricing page, you can add as many pricing options as you want. So you can definitely edit that.
Yeah, and it's really easy to do.
Let me see if I can find that video. I can put the link for you. Hold on.
In fact, I think there's a training on it in your members area, specifically the pricing section.
There is. I'm going to see if I can find the link and drop it there for her.
Okay, cool. Hey, there's our buddy Don Chafis.
What's up, Don?
Don.
Been blowing anything up lately?
Yeah. Don.
Yes, job.
Don, it's freezing in Denver right now. Somebody was actually in the comments talking smack about my board games. I'm in an Airbnb right now. I got Monopoly, Apples to Apples. If you're in Denver and you want to party, hit me up. We got Monopoly.
Board games, yeah.
But Don, it's freezing here. Don's got that beautiful San Diego weather. It's I'm a little jealous. It was nice over there.
I'm gonna put this in the comments, Anne. So here's the direct link. Make sure you log in to your agency growth machine members area first before you click that link. But if you it says an error occurred.
I think Cameron got it in there too.
Oh, did he? Okay. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so yeah, but if you go to that shows you all about the pricing page and how to add more options and all that stuff.
Okay, cool. So I see about 5, 10, maybe let's do it. Not that much, you guys. It's kind of some weak engagement, but I guess we're gonna do it anyway. Like this video, like this stream. If you like this stream, I'll throw the question out there. Help us spread the reach of the Offline Sharks weekly marketing jam. Awesome. Okay, so see a bunch of likes just came in. So let's ask this question. I have a banner. I didn't save it. Boom. What is the difference? This is for an Amazon gift card. First person who puts it in the comments below. What is the difference between a CPA and an enrolled agent? This is something that we learned not that long ago, honestly, maybe a year, right? There's a big difference, and it's an important one. John Weber says Australian tax question. No. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. I don't see the comments in real time, guys, so you're going to have to bear with me. There's going to be a little delay here.
Yeah. Kristen Bedard says agent is federally licensed.
Actually, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Enrolled agents, they are licensed at the federal level, right? So CPAs are really by the state. So the cool thing about an enrolled agent and what Tom and I have for Offline Sharks is an enrolled agent. Big shout out to Sherry. She's awesome. She's not in the state of Hawaii. She's licensed at the federal level, so she can file our taxes for us while living in Idaho. I believe she lives in Idaho. And yeah, that's the big difference. And it's an interesting point and a good thing to know. That's the answer. So Kristen, Cameron is on the call. He's going to send you a private message and get your email so we can send you an Amazon gift card. Thank you for hanging out with us in our weekly jam session.
Man, the taxes and all that stuff can be such a rabbit hole.
Oh, it's crazy. Oh, so let's run through that a little bit. I started out. I'll share 5 minutes on my journey, and then you share 5 minutes on your journey, Tom. Because at some point they kind of come together, right?
Yep.
So what I was doing when I was first getting started, right? Because I didn't have, like I said, I don't have this background of entrepreneurship where people just helped me to figure it out. I was really flying by the seat of my pants, and I knew that of course it's important to pay your taxes and categorize and keep track of what you're doing. So that's really how I started. And I didn't have any money, right? I didn't have any starting capital. I was in debt when I was getting started. So for me, in order to keep track of this, all I did was I kept a spreadsheet, and anytime I had revenue coming in, I made a line item, who it was from, what the date was, what it was for, and for how much. And I just categorized it. And this is really before I even had a business license, right? So I just wanted to kind of keep track and keep it separate, get a read on what I was doing. And then I did eventually file for a sole proprietorship, a DBA, doing business as, so just a basic business license. And I kind of did this all just like, I knew these were the next steps, and I didn't think too much about it. I just wanted to keep taking action and keep the momentum going, which is what I would totally recommend to anybody that's at the very beginning, early level of this. And yeah, I mean, that's really, I think for the first year, maybe even 2 years, and then I was able to get a bookkeeper who was a real basic bookkeeper. He didn't do too much other than a little more of a better spreadsheet, I guess you could say. He kept a better spreadsheet than I. I mean, I gave him access to my business bank account, and he couldn't file my taxes for me, but his spreadsheets were a lot better, and he helped me to file my taxes. He didn't actually file them for me, but he helped me on TurboTax, right? And so, the philosophy there is it's just like what we do with most things in Offline Sharks. Is like, really, I just started small and slowly grew into, where we're at now. What was your early bookkeeping, accounting experience?
So mine was like, So, I've talked a lot about before how I was on unemployment. I didn't want to get a real job. And so I started, I was going to start this agency, and I started going out and getting some clients and getting some money coming in. And like, I just had people writing checks to me because I didn't have a business name. And once I got some cash flow coming in, it took about a month. Then I went ahead and I started an LLC, right?
Yeah.
And I set up a bank account. And then like I did everything you're not supposed to do. Like I didn't file the LLC paperwork like you're supposed to every year. I like totally was horrible at managing my business, right? And like I ended up in this position where things just weren't good. And I was like, oh, I have to fix this, And so, I had to do some hard things in my business and readjust some things there and like deal with some unhappy clients and things like that. But I took care of all that stuff, and I looked around. I said, I need some help because I'm not good at this. I'm not like Nick. I can't set and make a spreadsheet, man. Like if I have the spreadsheet, I will not fill it out. Like
Really?
that's just like the last thing I want to do. I mean, I'm much better at it now, but like at the time, I just can't do it. And so like my philosophy on those kinds of things is like, if it's something that I don't want to do, or I know I'm not going to do, I try to power through it as much as I can until I can get somebody to do it for me. And that's really where I need to be working towards. So I asked around, I found a bookkeeper, and he was really, it was what I could afford at the time. So probably not the best, person out there, but he was doing it on the side, and that was good. And he helped me like fix all that situation. He helped me go back to those years that I wasn't, I wasn't paying the taxes in the time that I was like, we got all that fixed, set out a plan to fix it all, and did all that stuff. And so then he was just doing my books, right? And then eventually, like as things started to grow, we started to grow out of, now I could look for somebody that could maybe be a little more involved, a little more niche specific to what we were doing. And yeah, so that's kind of what we started to do. So it's really just like Nick said. I think, you do what you can do. So, if you can't, you find somebody that can do what you need done at a price you can afford, and that's who you deal with until you can work up to another level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I don't know why I was thinking this, but when I was gonna hand it to you, right, and say, what were you doing? I was gonna say, were you using an abacus? And my man Drew Griffin, he actually put that in the comments. He's like, so you guys don't recommend using an abacus? And I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, no. So, but I was glad we got it all sorted out. And it's funny because like the first bookkeeper that I had, he ended up doing books for Nick too. And it was kind of a weird thing because he was also a pharmacist, right? So he was a pharmacist and a bookkeeper. And, he helped us in the beginning, but like he used to just like, he would always just be walking around Kihei, and Nick would call me and he'd be like, man, I saw our bookkeeper. He looks like he's homeless. We got to get somebody new. It's like,
you're not supposed to share that kind of stuff, Tom.
Oh God, it was so funny.
One time, real quick. I know we don't have too much time.
Yeah.
One time he had me meet him in the pharmacy.
Oh yeah, to drop off
bookkeeping. Like, how when you go to the pharmacy to get like your flu shot, they have like that back room that's not the pharmacy, but it's like a piece of the pharmacy. Yeah. I like called him up and I was like, hey, I had some questions, like, bookkeeping questions on your spreadsheets or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, just come down by the pharmacy. And I go over there and he takes me in the shop room. And we're sitting down there talking about whatever. And then like his boss, the main pharmacist, I don't know, came in the room and was like, what the hell are you doing in here? He's like, don't worry about it. You're just doing something with my friend here. And I was like, man. And then I started seeing him walking around at the bus stop and all that. And I was like,
But I have to say, for where we were at the time, like he was a lot of, he was a tremendous help to us to get things situated in a way that we needed. And it was good to have somebody that understood like he knew his stuff.
Yeah.
And it was good to have somebody that you could, because we had things like, well, should we incorporate? Should we do this? And he could be like, hey, listen, you need to pump the brakes. Like, you're not quite at that point yet. Like, it's going to cause, because, everybody always says, like, and this is a good point to bring up, like, oh, you should incorporate. But when you incorporate, it brings in a whole nother level of stuff that you have to deal with. And there's, it was good to have a bookkeeper that recognized that. And so he was like, look, at your current income level, what you're doing right now, it's going to be more trouble for you to incorporate than it's going to save you. Like, you need to wait until you get to a certain point, and then we should start talking about that. And that was really eye-opening to me, because every time you hear anybody else talk about it, they're like, oh no, incorporate. Like, well, maybe you need to incorporate, and maybe you don't right now. Right.
Yeah. That's a good point. And he, you know what, you're right. He did do us solid, right? Like, that guy never messed anything up. I don't have any like argument with anything. We just eventually outgrew what he did, and he was the first one to say it. Like, you guys, I think you need more.
Yeah, he was like, he's like, I don't want to hold you back. You should probably find somebody else.
Yeah. So shout out to that guy too, because he really helped us. I totally agree, Tom. Although there was a little bit of a weird situation there, he was actually he still is. You know what? He still is a good guy. And I talk to a lot of business owners that come in through leads, and they're new business owners, or maybe they're like just getting started, and I'm doing marketing for them, and they're like, keeper. And I make recommendations to him because, I know what level they're at, and I know what level of service he's going to provide. And I don't make recommendations lightly. Like, I don't just throw them out there, but he did good. And can't say that for every tax person we've run into.
Well, not only does he do good work, but he also doesn't charge like an arm and a leg, which is really great.
And he gives a mean flu shot.
He's not a pharmacist anymore. I'm pretty sure he just does bookkeeping full time now.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Omar said, were those money in your bank alarm sounds? No, Omar. We turn those off for the live. That's not cool. I think those were like lead magnet alarms. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get those to turn off for some reason. Rich Dad says, we spend 40% of our time on these we don't like or know how to do. Finding professionals frees up half our time for what we do or like to do. That's exactly correct, because, and I agree with that position. And it's funny because I don't know if my brother is on this live watching this, but I think he has a different philosophy, because I've been hanging out with him a lot in Denver. I'm happy to pay the money to have somebody else do the stuff for me, but he is much more, I'm going to make sure I, do this myself type of guy. And I guess there's no right or wrong way. It comes down to preference, but I subscribe to that one. Absolutely. And I know Tom does too.
Yeah. Well, I think there's two things about that. One is like, it's, I remember when I used to see stuff like that, and it's like, you're not making any money, and you're like, well, that's great when you're making money. Like, you can have other people do it for you. Right. So I think there's a time when, you have to, as an entrepreneur, especially, there's a time, especially in the beginning, where you're probably going to have to bite the bullet and figure some things out on your own. And even if it's stuff you don't like to do, you're going to need to do it. Right. Like, I experienced that. There are things I didn't like doing, but I did them anyway, right? Because I was trying to start and grow a business. It's just once you get to a point, you don't want to hang on to that stuff, and it can be hard to let it go when you're kind of managing everything yourself. It's hard to trust other people to take over that. I find it more applicable too, just in terms of just like stuff that, I could, I don't know. I could do all the repairs around the house if I wanted to, but it's like, I don't want to do that because I can spend that. It's more valuable to me to spend my time doing other stuff. Right. So it's not just about the bookkeeping and things like that as well. It's like, knowing what my time is worth and where the value of my time is, and the value of my time is in dealing with my clients and doing all that,
Yeah.
Yeah, Don hit it. It's what your time is worth. Absolutely. It's what your time's worth. And by the way, Frank, yes, we do record these.
Yeah, so Frank, this is a Facebook Live, right? So you'll be able to come back to it. It should be shared within the offlinesharks.com or Offline Sharks Facebook group, but it should also be on the Facebook page as well.
And I think it's on the YouTube channel, right?
Yes.
Shout out to our YouTube channel. We like getting love there.
Yeah. Yeah. Give us some love on our YouTube channel, everybody.
We don't ever talk about the YouTube channel.
No, we're trying to spread things out a little bit, you know?
Yeah. And Jacqueline, by the way, that's a great strategy. Like, it's good to do things yourself so that you know what's going on and you can talk intelligently to people when you outsource it to them. That's smart. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I agree. So, wow. We've actually been using the questions in the group or the comments to answer our questions, and I haven't really gone through any of the questions we had for the live yet. And we haven't even talked about where we're at now with our taxes. So long story short, everybody, now we both have our own LLCs, right? Our own agency companies, and then we have a partnership company, Offline Sharks, and so that's also an LLC. And now we have our enrolled agent taking care of both of those, and it has been a gradual process to find that person that's been really helpful. We've gone through a CPA firm that was a client that turned into a nightmare because we were doing marketing for them, but then they weren't delivering what we were paying them for the tax stuff. So we kind of ended up losing them as a client when we started calling bullshit. And I don't recommend mixing client work with professional services very often. I mean, if you can avoid it, I would absolutely do it. But anyway, it took us a while to recover from that and retool to a new CPA or we went to another one from there. We also didn't have that great of an experience there to where we were at now. So what I would say, to just kind of keep that short, is really do your homework on these people, get the consultation, before you make a decision to really lock down with them. Make sure you jive with them. Their ethics are the same as yours. They run a clean business. They have a good attention to detail. These are all, when you're dealing with your money and you're dealing with the government, especially the federal government, you want somebody that is like a dentist looking over your books, right? Like they don't miss anything. And I feel good. I feel good about what we have now, Tom. I do.
Yeah. No, I think it's been a long road. And that's another thing about this stuff is it can be constantly evolving, and sometimes you just have to take a breath and just keep moving forward, just like anything else, right? Like you find somebody, you think they're going to work out, and it's then they don't work out, and it's you're back at square one, and it's just hey, it's just kind of stuff that happens, and so, not getting too down about it, and then just, keep moving forward, keep pushing the ball forward and all that.
Right. And Jacqueline says, trust is one of the most valuable things your recommendations bring. Yep, I agree. And, remember too, for us, things have been changing at an incredible rate, like they will for a lot of people, right? So something that was going to work, a business plan, a blueprint, a strategy, what was going to work for your business at the beginning of the year, if you are taking action and crushing it and landing clients and building your business, that same blueprint, that same strategy, that same, maybe corporate structure or how you were planning to file your taxes this year might not be the way that you're going to end up doing it, and that's been the case for us we've been in business, with Offline Sharks for just about 3 years now. And basically every single year it's different than what we had planned. We couldn't have planned it to be that way, which is a good thing, but I'm just saying you never can account for that, right? So,
well, I think there's a good lesson there, and to know that because when people are first starting business, they spend so much time planning, thinking that nothing's going to, the plan is the thing. If I just have it all planned out, it's going to be easy. And it's no, it's not. You can have all the planning you want, but things are going to happen and it's going to unfold differently. So, yes, you want to strategize and you want to put a plan in place, but you want to get a plan in place and then start moving forward, because it's going to take adjustment as you go along. Right. And there was what was the other thing I was just thinking? God, I just lost my train of thought because I saw somebody was saying something about that, but it's that same type of thing.
Look.
Yeah.
Clifford.
Hey, Clifford.
What's up, Clifford?
Clifford is the handyman that I hired to do all the stuff around the house.
I need
when he does my honey-do list.
I got some things I need to do, Clifford.
Yeah. There was something important I was just getting ready to say about that, about the planning though, and the adjusting. Well, maybe I'll remember.
Tim says, it's awesome you guys are even thinking about your taxes this time of year. I waited until the last minute. That's exactly what our CPA said, right?
Yeah. Oh, I know I remember what it was I was going to say. It's like when things start going really well and then you're trying to figure out what to do, I think this is the most annoying thing. You contact somebody and you're like, we have a problem. We have this issue. And then you tell them and they're like, well, that's a really good problem to have.
Yeah.
And you're like, it doesn't feel so good.
Yeah. We get that a lot, don't we?
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a really good problem to have. I'm like, oh man, doesn't feel like a good problem. Maybe we can do a couple book recommendations, or at least one.
Let's we're probably gonna go a few minutes over, everybody, but we got a couple more things for you. So
yeah, I want to do one, and this one came recommended to me by our operations guy, Cameron, and so I ordered it off of Amazon, and it's by I always have trouble with this. It's by Dan Kennedy. It's called Almost Alchemy. Cameron said he's really been enjoying it. He recommended I read it. I ordered it. I haven't started to read it yet, but I love all of Dan Kennedy's stuff. He always puts it together in a way that I think is super easy to understand and just makes a lot of sense. So I don't know if you guys have seen this new one from Dan, but it's called Almost Alchemy. So I would check that out.
What's the premise? I mean, I'm sure it has something to do with copywriting or
No, actually it's not. It's Almost Alchemy. Make any business of any size produce more with fewer and less. So if you've read, I think it's very similar to the Ruthless Management of People and Profits. So he talks about, he always starts with the kind of like, we want to try to attract wealth and those things, but then he always breaks it down into much more practical things that you can actually do in your business. Which is what I really like about Dan. Like a lot of the kind of platitudes you hear people say, he shows you how they relate to really growing a business. So this is a good one. Pardon me. I am always a big proponent too of getting and reading and studying anything you can about direct marketing or copywriting. So I did do this one was just like a free shipping offer, Copywriting Secrets by Jim Edwards. It's through the ClickFunnels guys. It looks, I kind of skimmed through it. It looks like a really good introduction to just copywriting and some of the strategies behind it. So I think copywriting is a skill that as agency owners can do nothing but benefit us, especially if we're trying to do things like email prospecting or anything like that. Knowing some of the strategies and the thinking behind copywriting will just make everything you write better. So any books you can read on that, I think, are good. So those are the two that I have right now.
That's a good point, Tom. Like I when I got into marketing, whatever, I was not good at, just forget copywriting, just writing in general, right? And what is interesting to me is like it was a cool process. Early on when we started the Offline Sharks Facebook group, that was like my initial practice writing zone. It was like a journal entry of like what's going on within Offline Sharks, local marketing, my business. And if you go in that group and you go like back through the history of all the posts and you see the early days, you're gonna find all these posts that I've made of just like practicing how to write, like pretty much. And I'm not gonna say I'm great at it now, but I have gotten a lot better from where I was at. I mean, it was pretty bad. And what I want to say about that is it's a learned skill, right? Like you can get better at it, even if you suck at it as bad as I did, still suck at it, but you can get better at it if you just practice. And starting a Facebook group and inviting people that could be interested in something that you're interested in, and just kind of practicing there, getting in the routine of a daily rant, if you will hopefully have others join in on your rant, and you can get better at something while building something at the same time.
Yeah, it's interesting because writing is definitely something that you have to do to get better at it. And it's funny because people used to always say, I remember asking some people about writing, a writer that I know, and he said, well, it can't be taught, but it can be learned. And I never really got that. And it's like there's some things that you just have to do them to be able to have the right mindset to understand how to make them better, right? So really the only way to learn it is to do it and then look at what you're doing and make improvements. And then when you go and see what other people are doing, you're like, oh, I can apply that to what I'm doing. But if you're not doing it, you can't do that. So yeah, I think writing is that way. And the nice thing about copywriting is you don't have to be an English major. You don't have to know any of that stuff. Like it's much, much simpler to learn that than to try to write write fiction or something like that. But yeah.
And so I had a couple of questions. I'm going to table them to the next live, but there is one that I thought was a really good one because it ties into a couple of things. And it's from Kurt Best. He said, is email marketing, is it still effective? And, it's a funny question, and it's actually a really timely one, because this morning I saw a post. I don't know where I saw it, or maybe it was on a newsletter I'm on that, what's his name? I don't know, I'm drawing a blank.
I'm not going to tell you.
You're not going to tell me?
No,
he's a shark. He's a shark. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now. The guy that owns the Mavericks. I forgot his name.
Oh, you mean he's on Shark Tank?
Yeah, he's a shark.
Oh, the guy that owns the Mavericks. Oh God, now I can't think of his name.
Oh my God. We're going to entrepreneurial hell.
Cameron knows the answer. Cameron, what's his name?
It's such an easy name. Mark Cuban. Okay, Mark Cuban. So this morning I woke up and I read something, and the title was that Mark Cuban bought the domain democracy.com or org. Either .com or org, one or the other. And he bought it for somewhere north of 300K. And the story behind it is that he bought it because he didn't want it to get in the hands of somebody that would do some evil with it. I thought that was pretty funny. But the guy that owned it, guess how he hit Mark Cuban and sold it to him? Oh. Cold email.
Wow.
Cold email. 300K for a domain. And I thought that that's an interesting point, right? Like people ask, is cold email still relevant? Does it still work? Well, this guy had this domain. He somehow tracked down Mark Cuban, sent him an email, a cold email, and said, hey, I want to sell you this domain, but I want to sell it to you because I believe you will do the responsible thing with it. And Mark Cuban made him an offer within an hour.
Wow.
North of 300K. So, that's just one example. There are a lot of great examples of email marketing still working. I mean, we use email marketing every single day. It's not, and I guess that might be Kurt's question, right? Email marketing in general rather than cold email, but email marketing is still really, really effective, and I don't really think it's going anywhere.
Yeah, but when you think about that thing with Mark Cuban, like there's a couple of things that I think apply to what we talked about earlier. Like one, so that guy had something that, he wants to sell, right? So he obviously knew that Mark Cuban, because he did some research on Mark Cuban, or he follows Mark Cuban or pays attention to what Mark Cuban is interested in. and he knows that Mark Cuban is interested in politics and has a very strong opinion of them and is involved in that kind of stuff, right? So he was able to, yeah, he sent him a cold email, but I guarantee you that that message he had in that email was really tailored to hit Mark Cuban's, like what he knew were Mark Cuban's points on that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
hey, I know this is a concern to you. I know this is a high priority to you. I know this is something you care about, and this is why I'm reaching out to you. I'm not just, and again, think about that, like personalized too. Like if Mark Cuban would have opened that email and it would have been like, hey, I have democracy.org and I'm looking to sell it. Is anybody interested? Like,
do you want to buy professional guest posting?
yeah, like, and well, I mean, would it be, or like if he saw that he sent it to 500 people, like would Mark Cuban have had the same reaction? No, it worked because it was
Targeted.
Mark Cuban felt like that was specific to him, right?
Right.
So it's like, hey, this guy, yes, it was a cold email, but from Mark's point of view, it wasn't a cold email. Like it was highly targeted to him. That's the kind of feeling you want people to have when they open your email. So
Right.
when they open your email about you, what your marketing services, you want them to have that same feeling, not like, oh, he must have sent this to 50 other businesses. Like if you're talking about their business, specifics of what they have going on because of what you've looked at, and you can personalize it to them, that's the feeling they're going to get. They're not going to think it's a cold email. They're going to feel like you wrote this message for them, to them. That's what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Highly targeted email marketing. And that's actually what we talked about on Wednesday's training, right? Like highly targeted email marketing. We had our good friend, Brian Anderson, on a live training. Was it Wednesday, Tom?
It was Thursday.
Thursday. Okay, Thursday. It's all a blur.
Yeah.
Daylight savings time.
That was like a month ago. You're still blaming everything on that.
It's just, it's different, right? Because we don't have it in Hawaii, but now that I'm in Denver, it's hitting me hard, fellas. It's hitting me hard. But anyway, we had our live training on Thursday, and it was all about highly targeted email marketing. And it's actually, I mean, what we're talking about here on today's jam session, I mean, it's good stuff, right? One of the things that I thought was so, and if you guys missed the replay, by the way, after this live is over, you're gonna want to watch that replay. I put Wednesday on there because of the daylight savings, but it was actually Thursday, and you definitely want to go watch that replay. But anyway, one of the crazy things that Brian was showing us on that replay was about the database that they acquired somehow. I don't know how the hell they got their hands on that thing, but that's crazy, right? Like you can literally build a hit list of people in an area, at an income class, and what kind of car they drive, and like it drills down to the nitty gritty, and you can like be emailing these people, and the way that they are positioning it, or the way that they're actually doing it, is that they get like guaranteed clicks on their actual email campaigns going out. And guaranteed clicks, think about that now, through your email campaigns. So for those of you that are on this live that are having trouble with email, like you can't get it open, you haven't had a response, what if I told you that somebody could guarantee that you were getting clicks in your email campaigns by sending them out with this software in this way? It's pretty huge. So
yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, it's amazing what they've been able to do, because it's like all of the things that make things like Facebook ads, the way to, like all the targeting you can do in Facebook ads that you
could. It reminds me of.
Yeah, you can't really do that with email. Like they've freaking figured out a way to do it in email. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Imagine being able to tell a business owner though, like like an auto mechanic, you can say, listen, if you let me send out an email broadcast, I can guarantee you that you'll get 100 people to click through to your website. Like, I mean, guaranteed. Like if that doesn't happen, you don't pay me. Like it's amazing. It's pretty unbelievable. What a killer offer.
Yeah, and for those of you that haven't seen that replay, actually, we have our own special bonus for anybody that stays to the end of that training, and we kind of put our money where our mouth is on that one. So check that out for sure.
Yeah.
Cameron says, have you ever heard of Dovey Francis? Sold largest life insurance policy ever a few years ago to a billionaire via cold email. Wow.
You know, you just reminded me of.
What?
We got one shout out at the beginning of the show.
I know what you're saying. Yep.
We need to give a shout out to Cameron.
Our boy Cameron.
Yep. Our boy Cameron is going to be a daddy.
A daddy.
Congratulations, Cameron.
Congrats, buddy. Man.
Can't believe I forgot that shout out at the beginning.
Well, I told him he just got married.
He's on the elite program, the advanced plan.
Yeah, for sure. Congratulations, Cameron. That's awesome. I've been hanging out with my nephew the past week, and I've been loving it. You know, that little guy. I don't know what it is, but he's my buddy. So I can only imagine.
We expect your kid to be answering support by age 3.
I was gonna say 3. It's a good age. Yeah, it's a great age. Good stuff. Well, I think that pretty much, wraps it up, everybody.
I don't know where Nick went, but yeah, I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Sorry for the sniffles and the congested sound. Oh, there he is.
I think
there you are.
Just ended the broadcast. I thought I did for a second.
You did. You just left for a minute.
Yeah.
I was kind of wrapping up.
But yeah, okay. So wrapping it up. Great call, everybody. We had about 50 people the whole way through. I think there's a lot of really good information here. A lot of the stuff that we shared with you guys today, like we had to go through a lot of trial and error to get to that point, to extract that information and give it to you. If you have any questions on any of that stuff that we talked about, put them in the comments below below this video. I see that, Cameron. That's pretty funny. And yeah, if you haven't seen that replay yet, let me get that up real quick one last time. About the email marketing and the database that Brian and his team put together on Thursday. You should go check that out right now. It'd be a great way to spend the rest of your Saturday evening. And of course, you can always hit us up in our support email, offlinesharks.com/support. You got anything, Tom?
No, thanks so much for joining us. Spend a little bit of your Saturday. Appreciate it. Again, sorry for the sniffles and that stuff, but we will talk to you guys later. We'll see you next Saturday.
See you, everybody.